Life has a way of testing us when we least expect it. Sometimes, the challenges are so heavy that we feel like giving up. But hidden inside those trials is a strength we never knew we had. Tonight, I will tell you the story of a man whose life seemed to fall apart in the blink of an eye. Yet, through pain, sacrifice, and faith, he discovered the true meaning of hope and strength. This is not just his story. It is the story of anyone who has ever been tested by life itself. Stay with me till the end, because the lesson hidden here may just change the way you see your own struggles forever. Daniel Carter was the kind of man everyone admired. At 38 years old, he had what many would call the American dream. A good job at a marketing firm in Chicago, a loving wife named Emily, and a 10-year-old daughter, Lily, who adored him more than anything in the world. But life doesn't ask permission before it tests you. One Monday morning, Daniel walked into the office only to be called into his manager's room. The company had been struggling, and his department was being downsized. Years of loyalty didn't matter. He was let go with nothing more than a cold handshake and a final paycheck. Driving home that evening, he didn't know how to tell Emily. Bills were already piling up, and their savings were thin. That night, when he finally confessed, Emily tried to stay strong, but the fear in her eyes was unmistakable. Weeks turned into months. Job applications were sent, interviews came and went, but rejection became a cruel friend. The mortgage slipped behind, credit cards maxed out, and stress began to suffocate the once happy household. And then, life delivered another blow. Emily fell sick. What started as fatigue turned into endless doctor visits, tests, and finally, the dreadful diagnosis: leukemia. Daniel's world shattered. He had lost his job, his stability, and now his wife was battling for her life. But the worst was yet to come.
To keep the family afloat, Daniel took up late-night shifts as a delivery driver, sleeping only a few hours each day. He was exhausted, constantly torn between hospital visits, Lily's school needs, and the endless grind of survival. One winter evening, as snow blanketed the streets, Daniel sat alone in his car outside the hospital. He had just received the news. Emily needed a bone marrow transplant, and the insurance wouldn't cover everything. The cost was astronomical, far beyond anything Daniel could imagine. He broke down, pounding the steering wheel, tears streaming down his face. Why me? Why us? What have I done wrong to deserve this? For the first time in his life, Daniel questioned everything: his faith, his strength, his very reason to keep fighting. He thought of Lily, her smile, her laughter, her innocent questions like, "Daddy, is Mommy going to be okay?" And that was when Daniel made a silent promise: no matter what it takes, I will not let my family fall apart. But promises are easier made than kept. One night, after a long delivery shift, Daniel stopped at a small diner. He barely had money for coffee, but he needed a moment of silence. An older man sat across the counter, quietly observing him. His clothes were simple, his face worn with lines of age and wisdom. After a while, the man leaned over and said, "You look like someone carrying the weight of the world." Daniel chuckled bitterly. "That obvious, huh?" The man smiled. "Sometimes life tests us not because we're weak, but because we're stronger than we think." Daniel shook his head. "Strong? I'm falling apart. I'm losing everything. My wife is dying. My daughter, she might lose her mom. And I can't even keep the lights on at home." The stranger listened carefully, then reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, worn Bible. He slid it across the counter. "I don't know your story, son, but I know this: hope is never gone. Strength is found when you have nothing left but faith. Take this.
Maybe it'll remind you that even in the darkest storm, light is still there. Daniel didn't believe much in such things, but something about the man's sincerity made him take the book. When he looked up again to thank him, the man was gone. No coffee cup, no sign he had ever been there. Daniel wondered if he had imagined the whole thing.
The next weeks were a blur of hospitals, bills, and sleepless nights. But something inside Daniel had shifted. He began reading a page or two of that little Bible during his breaks, not so much out of faith, but out of desperation. And strangely, it gave him strength. He started fundraising campaigns, reaching out to old colleagues, neighbors, even strangers. Many doors slammed shut, but a few opened. Slowly, little by little, the donations grew. One night, Lily walked up to him, holding a jar full of coins and dollar bills she had collected from her classmates. "It's for Mommy," she said with a proud smile. "We're all helping." Daniel broke down crying, hugging his daughter tightly. And for the first time in months, he believed, maybe, just maybe, they had a chance.
Finally, the day of Emily's transplant arrived. Daniel sat in the waiting room for hours that felt like years. Every beep of the hospital machines echoed in his mind. Every doctor's expression made his heart race. After what felt like forever, the surgeon came out. The procedure went well. Now comes the hardest part, the recovery. But she has a fighting chance. Daniel fell to his knees in gratitude, tears streaming down his face. The battle wasn't over, but hope had returned. Weeks later, Emily slowly began regaining her strength. The medical bills were still there, the financial struggle still real, but Daniel realized something profound. They hadn't lost what truly mattered. They still had each other. They still had love. They still had hope.
Life will test you in ways you never imagined. It will strip you of comfort, shake your faith, and push you to the edge. But remember, strength is not found when life is easy. Strength is discovered when you have every reason to give up, but you choose to keep going. When life tests you, don't see it as punishment. See it as preparation for the person you are meant to become. Just like Daniel, we all face battles that seem impossible, but hope is never truly gone, and the greatest strength often rises from the deepest pain.